Okay, so in a moment we will start because I'm doing some other things at the same time. That's why I'm hesitating a little bit. Okay, so in the current season, there are some new topics such as animals and pets, apps, colors, concentration, countryside, getting lost, handwriting, headphones, science, shoes, watching TV, and weather. I expect one more topic. So well, this or next week, I'm going to have it, and the list of part 1 topics will be complete. So all of you have received this morning a booklet with questions, well, topics, questions, vocabulary lists, ideas for questions, and sometimes, not sometimes, but very often, sample answers, which you can use. I don't encourage you to memorize sample answers or your own answers. When you prepare for speaking, the best way is to prepare some ideas and some advanced vocabulary, and then just use it in your answer. You know the question, you know the topics, you know the questions, you prepare some ideas, some vocabulary, some advanced grammar, and then you incorporate this into your answers. But don't produce totally memorized texts. It will do more harm than good, and it's virtually impossible to memorize all those questions. Now, let's start with ladies. Victoria, so are you ready? Could you please unmute yourself?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, great. So did you prepare any part 1 speaking topics?
Yeah, I have prepared work and studies.
Okay, so work and studies, this is the topic that is always in use and in any season. But usually, we'll practice all questions with you, but very often, examiner will only ask you one question, and the question is, do you work or are you a student? And will not ask you any other questions. After this, examiner will move on to the next part.
May I ask you a question?
Yes, sure.
If an examiner asks, do you work or do you study, should I answer like I work and that's all, or should I broad my answer?
Yeah, you need to expand your answer. Evaluation criteria are the same for all parts of the exam. So, well, when the examiner asks you, could I have your ID and what's your name? So if you just say, well, my name is Victoria, or if you say, my full name is Victoria Polenova, of which Polenova is my surname and Victoria is my given name. Please call me Vika. If you do it like this, or you just say Victoria, it doesn't matter in this very introduction. But when real questions like, do you like music, do you work or are you a student, vocabulary, grammar, fluency and coherence, and pronunciation. There are 4 criteria, and so it's better not to give short answers.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so once again, this particular topic, work and studies, usually examiners only ask you one question, and after this, they will ask you 2 questions. So there are 2 booklets that examiners have. It will be either this booklet with September through April, and it will also be used next season. So this booklet has just arrived, and I still haven't received all the topics yet. I mean, there's only one missing. And then there is the second booklet that was used last season and will also be used next season. So if your first question is, for example, colors, the second question, the second topic will also be from this booklet. So it won't be from the second half. But if you take your exam before December, and if you have, for example, barbecue, the second topic will also be from here. And most of part 1 will be just these 2 topics, not these 4 introductory topics. But we'll practice all the questions that we have. So, Victoria, do you work or are you a student?
I work for a large news agency in Moscow. I'm a title editor on a channel broadcasting in Arabic.
Okay, why did you choose that job?
Well, it was a bit of dilemma for me when I had to choose. But I got an education in the history of Near East, and so I learned Arabic language and the history of the Arab world. So I, when I graduated, I realized that there are not too many offers for me with my education, but there was one. It was a news agency in Moscow that has several channels broadcasting in different languages, in German and English and Arabic also, and in French. And I realized that it was absolutely in line with my qualifications. So I decided to choose the job of title editor.
Okay. Under real exam conditions, don't expect that the examiner is going to listen to all this. So the answer in part one is usually 20 to 30 seconds long. And as soon as you take your breath, the examiner will say, thank you, and move on to the next question. I didn't stop you just because I'm giving you an opportunity to practice. So yeah, but just bear in mind that especially if you prepare some ideas, don't prepare too much. Generally speaking, do you like your job?
What I like best in my job is that it's never boring, and I can communicate with different people, talking with them in English, in German, in Arabic also. So that's why I partly like my job.
Okay. Is there anything you dislike about your job?
Well, there are more things I dislike about my job than the things I like. So it's quite stressful, and I have to work under time pressure, and that is robbing me of my life, honestly. Moreover, my salary expectations are far more than I get in real life, and that is why that is quite irritating.
Okay. What was your dream job when you were young?
Well, I used to dream about being either an entrepreneur or a teacher, and I had a chance when I was between jobs. When I just graduated, I started teaching languages, Arabic and English, but I understood that it's not my cup of tea.
You can say, I understood it wasn't my cup of tea, but yeah. I mean, if you use sequence of tenses, it will be better. Now, have you changed your mind on your dream job since your childhood?
Yes, sure. I changed my mind about being a teacher, but didn't change it about being an entrepreneur. I think it's quite challenging and maybe more interesting for me as a title editor, as my current job.
Okay, great. You prepared some really nice expressions for your for your answers. I will just give you a few recommendations on how you can improve your mostly the score in grammatical range and accuracy. For example, you keep on repeating when I graduated. So for some range, for some variety of your grammar structures, you can say having graduated from blah 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 university with a degree in blah blah blah. Well, it didn't take me long to realize that I'm not really in demand on the labor market, something like this. Or you could say, hardly had I graduated from the university when I realized that. So if you use when I graduated from university, I did something, it's already nice because this is a complex sentence. You use complex sentences in your speaking, and that's fine. Now, our class today is recorded. Yeah, matriculated. Like, yes, that's right. It's also good for your vocabulary. Our class is recorded, and you can listen to yourself very often, a lot. You start your sentence, whenever you start a new idea, you start your sentence with and. So something, and I also something, and. So what I recommend for your coherence mark, fluency and coherence, your fluency is okay, but you can improve your coherence. Every time you start a new idea, you can use some linking word, and it can be a special linking word. For example, you can say, well, on top of that, instead of saying and something, you can say on top of that, and on top of it all, they sometimes say, or what's more, or you could say, in addition, or you can say additionally. Then in part 3, because it's more formal, and as well as in your essays, you can also use something like furthermore and moreover. I believe you will need all of these linking words for your answer, 6, because at least 6 times you will start a new idea. You will add a new idea to what you have already said, and you're likely to need all of these expressions. Then, when you answered about what do you dislike, this is an opportunity for you to use either a conditional sentence. For example, if my job wasn't, or in classical English, weren't so stressful, I would be a happier person. Instead of just saying it's stressful, it's time consuming. So you can say if it were, or if it was, if it were not so stressful, it would be better. So one option for talking about dislike is to use a conditional sentence. The second one, and maybe it's preferable because there will be some other opportunities in task 2 for you to use conditional sentences. You can also use I wish construction. So I wish my job wasn't, or in classical English, weren't so stressful. Okay, so this is one thing that you can do. The second one, when you're it's not you can use this construction not only for speaking, not only for this topic, not only for part 1. Whenever you mention 2 ideas, for example, my salary isn't high enough, instead of salary, I would recommend to say remuneration. It's just more advanced. And I have to work overtime. So there are 2 ideas, they are connected, and you can use inversion with not only. So not only is my salary insufficient, but I also have to work overtime. Okay. So inversion, this is when you use the word order like in a question. Not only, so my salary is insufficient, and you say not only is my salary insufficient, so you put this verb before the subject, and that's called inversion. All right, do you have any questions?
Yes, about inversion. Could you please recommend any book maybe, or some information about inversion, because I've never read about it?
Okay, so I recommend that you, in our vk.com group, there are some videos, and you can just watch a video in the group about inversion. This is one thing. And then on my channel, on my YouTube channel, there is a video about grammar for IELTS speaking. I think it's called something like this. If you cannot find it, just text me and I will give you a link. So the first video is in the videos of VK group. It's called Inversion, and the second one is called Grammar for IELTS or something like this. I think it was in January, February, or March. So it was this year, about 6 or 7 months ago. So it's not only about inversion; it's also about cleft sentences, emphatic constructions. And I don't really remember what else, but well, some constructions that are considered to be more or less advanced. Yeah, and complex sentences too. Okay, other questions?
No, thank you.
So which part 2 did you prepare?
Films.
Okay, films. Just my general recommendation, it's for you and for everyone else. When you prepare a talk about films, in many seasons, and this season is no exception, when there is a topic about films, there is also a topic about books. And instead of preparing two topics, you can just say, oh, there is a book that I read and it was made into a film. And so if it's a book, you speak more about intricate plots and that you read this book from cover to cover in one sitting and so on. When it's a film, you speak more about what the film was like. But in both topics, you can mention both the book and the film. There is no task response, there is no task achievement in speaking, and that's what you can do. So you can kill two birds with one stone by just preparing films and books as one topic. Okay, right. So we'll talk to you in the second round. Thank you. Now, Oleg, can you please unmute yourself?
Yes.
Okay, did you prepare any speaking topics for today?
No, I will start talking.
Okay, so choose a topic that you haven't spoken about yet.
Let's talk about concentration.
Okay, so let's talk about concentration, right? So, is it difficult for you to stay focused on something?
Yes. From my early age, I was a very active child. When I was a knee-high to a grasshopper, my mom told me that I should pay attention to concentration and awareness, in particular in school or in my others classes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Then what may distract you when you're trying to stay focused?
I'm utterly convinced that smartphones and other gadgets are the biggest dangers and the biggest problem of nowadays. And not only when I studying, when I'm studying, but also when I am doing other activities. I'm every time checking some news or just looking at the list in my phone.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Then in what situations do you need to be focused or do you need to concentrate?
Because I'm studying now, the best option for me to spend my awareness is some textbooks and articles, which I'm really highly likely to read. I think also some usual everyday life activities such as home cleaning and just when you sauntering around the street, you should concentrate on the weather, on the songs of the birds, and on your everyday life.
Mm-hmm. So what do you do to improve concentration?
I wholeheartedly believe that the best way to increase your stamina resources and your awareness is to have a really sound sleep. You should sleep like a log, and you should not checking your gadgets before you go sleeping. You should also getting up early and be ready to spend your hours on only on those things which is really important for you.
Things which are really important.
Which
Then
are-
you should concentrate without ing. Yeah. So is it easy for you to do two things simultaneously?
No, it's really hard to name me Caesar or Kaiser.
Caesar.
Caesar.
Julius Caesar. Okay.
You know, it's really common thought that women are most likely to combine some activities or some issues, and they could, for example, reading and cooking at the same time.
Oleg, they could read and cook.
They could read and cook at the same time.
Okay. All right. So these are all the questions. So what I can recommend, when you need to concentrate, you can use this collocation to maintain focus for a lengthy period of time. When it's hard to concentrate, when I'm washed out, that's a nice phrasal verb. The biggest problem, you said, you can say the most common stumbling block is probably that. So when it's hard to concentrate, when there are constant interruptions, or when you're surrounded by a plethora of distractors, not distractions, also you can say distractors. Then, or when you deal with figures, for example, when you mentioned birds, you could have mentioned warblers. These are singing birds. I mean, this is a type of birds. So what can distract you are the birds when you're sauntering around the park, surrounded by coniferous and deciduous trees, and there can be some warblers such as nightingales or I don't know, whatever birds you prepare. Yes, I remember 2 or 3 years ago there was a topic birds in speaking part 1, and all of my students, they learned how to say Teterev Kuropatka in English and so on. So now how you can improve concentration is to eliminate pointless distractions. When I said when I go to sleep, there is an idiom. It's only for speaking. You cannot use it in an essay. It's too spoken. When I hit the sack or when I hit the hay, it means that you go to sleep. So two things at the same time. You can say I'm good at multitasking, or no, I'm not good at multitasking, and it makes me prone to mistakes when I concentrate. So there is a tendency for me to make mistakes. So yeah, these are the expressions that I can recommend for this topic. And you can also find more in your booklets, which you received this morning. Now, where is the chat? Oh, there it is. The chat box is here. So I'll just copy everything in the chat box. So let's choose a part 2 speaking topic. I don't have the list yet. Yeah, the list should be here. A second. So please choose a list of topics for our second round.
Waste of time. Let's talk about waste of time.
Okay.
Because I think I could use the same expressions.
Okay. So this topic, waste of time. So describe an activity you usually do that wastes your time. You should say what it is, when you do it, why you think it wastes your time. And I'm afraid I don't have part 3 questions for this topic. But okay, anyway, please prepare this. Prepare this topic. Take some notes, and I will talk to you in the second round. Okay, there was somebody who joined the class, but then this person left. Now, Victoria, are you ready with your part 2?
Yes.
Okay. So part two.
About films.
Yes, about films. So if you're ready, please start.
Mhm. So my favorite movie is One Day. It is a romantic drama film. Was directed in 2011 and released that year, and it is based on the novel of the same name. The main characters are two young people, Dexter and Emma, and the film follows them on the same day, that's the 15th of July, every year over 18 years. So on the first year, they meet after their graduation from the University of Edinburgh, and they like each other at the first sight, but they agree to just be friends. And so each one has their own life, their own ambitions, and so on. And finally, in the end of the film, they begin a relationship, but Emma is hit by a truck while she was riding her bicycle, and she dies. So I watched this film about 7 years ago when I just entered the university, and it impressed me a lot, predominantly due to the two main facts I liked it most. The first one is that the concept is unforgettable. It's very interesting that you can follow the main characters along 18 years. And the second point is that the end of the story reminds the audience, the people who watch this film, to appreciate every moment, to appreciate what they can have in the current moment. So that is why that is my favorite film.
Okay. So if your recommendations, your beginning, again, if you wish, you can listen to the recording, so you can listen to yourself speaking. Your beginning was, well, it consisted of simple sentences. Sentences like, London is the capital of Great Britain. So I like a film. This is a film about blah, blah, blah. The name of the film is blah, blah, blah. So you can just say, the film which I would like to tell you about is called. So you can use some complex sentences. You did use some complex sentences, like while she was doing something throughout your speaking, I mean, later in the second part. But if there is a mix of simple and complex sentences, examiner is likely to give you band 6 in grammatical range and accuracy. Even if everything is correct, your accuracy is fine, but your range is not sufficient for a 7 or higher. So try to use as many complex sentences as possible. And this video, which I recommended on YouTube, there we talk about different types of complex sentences that can be used. So it's really helpful. I mean, the whole video, not only about inversion, I believe the whole video is going to be useful for you. Okay, then maybe they like each other at first sight. You can say they fall in love with each other at first sight. And if you want, you can say по уши влюбились. They fell head over heels in love with each other at first sight. So you can also like head over heels. There's another one. Head over heels. Okay, and instead of I watched this film 7 years ago, you can use another construction. You can say, it must have been around 7 years ago when I watched this film for the first time. And then it will be a complex sentence, a clause of time, when I saw, and it will be modal verb with perfective infinitive, must have been. Okay, so as if you're almost sure it's 7, but maybe 8, maybe 6. So, but you're almost sure. It must have been around 7 years ago. Okay, now part 3 questions related to this. Do you think it's worthwhile for film companies to invest heavily in filming now?
Well, I think that investing in films is it could be very beneficial for countries. So yeah, it's a very commercial area, and the country also supports the cultural level of it by creating more movies.
Mhm. So, and here is an expression which I can recommend. Films are likely to remain a staple of the entertainment industry. Staple, like staple food, means the main food that you consume, or a staple of something. So it's like the central, the most popular type, something like this. So do you think people like black and white movies?
Well, some people, of course, like and they prefer this genre of movies. But me personally, no. I like colorful films with much action in it.
In them, probably.
In them.
Okay. So do movies affect people's views on history?
Sure, that's no doubt that movies affect people, if especially if these kind of historical or non-historical movies are quite popular among young people, and not only. So they affect and that could be either an advantage or a big disadvantage in the cultural view.
So you can say that they do affect our perception of history. We can say that at the same time, some films, they lead to skewed perception. Skewed is like when it's not accurate. Skewed perception. That's also a good expression. Okay. Then what kinds of movies are popular in your country?
Well, it's hard to say about the whole country. I can't judge, but among my nearest and dearest, among my close friends, there are no people who like some drama movies, and many of my friends prefer historical and actual action movies. But I guess that among elderly and mature people, drama, romantic films are very popular, as I can see from the television.
Okay. Talking about drama, you can say that some people tend to like them because of serious and plot-driven presentations. Or if you want to mention comedies, you can say they have light-hearted plots which amuse and provoke laughter. So these are some collocations that you can use if you want. Why do people spend so much money on producing films?
Well, that's a very commercial area, and that's not a secret that there are many competitions and many awards for film creators, for directors and for actors as well. So that is very beneficial, and it's all about money and fame. That is not surprising that people tend to like getting into this area.
Do you think watching films is a good way to have a rest?
Well, some people prefer this type of having a rest. For some people, it is very relaxing and exciting to watch a new film every evening, for example. But me personally, for me personally, it's not so so interesting, and I should say that it's not my cup of tea.
Okay, right. So when people relax, you can say it helps them unwind and recharge their batteries. There are two idioms about, or it's like a system reboot for them if they watch a film. So are action films popular in your country?
Well, I can't judge about the whole country, but me personally, I don't like action movies. I prefer some relaxing historical or romantic films. Action films that are created abroad, some people like. I know that they spend their money to see, to watch the new action film in the cinema, but I won't go for this type of movie to the cinema.
Okay, so you can also mention this movie genre generates or doesn't generate really good revenue at the box office in my country, like кассовые сборы. Okay. What makes an actor a famous movie star?
It may sound trivially, but in my humble opinion, the talent is the main thing about getting popular in the field, in the area of movies. But in the context of popularity among a large audience, awards make a bigger contribution, I think. For example, ceremonies that are broadcast all over the world may really make some local actors very, very famous.
Okay, so you could also mention top-notch acting. So like when the actor is really talented, then it means that, well, his acting is top-notch. Right, okay, thank you. That is the end of the speaking test. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. And could you please type this, copy this?
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
All right, so Oleg, please turn on your microphone, unmute yourself.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so part 2 about wasting time. So if you're ready, please start.
I was asked to tell a story about an activity which provokes me to waste my time. And it is a process of reviewing social networks and video hostings, which provoke me to spend my time on nothing, on rubbish. It must have been around a decade ago when I obtained the phone as a birthday present, and I immediately started to getting some new apps like Instagram and YouTube. I hadn't known that they will destroy my my life at some point. You know, social networks where people put on display their beauty, or even worse, their wealth, provoke envy and hate inside people's hearts. Perhaps if I wouldn't spend all those hours on just flipping the tape in phone, maybe today I will become a millionaire. I have tried and even practiced not to stick in the phone, but it didn't work. And one day I hope to get rid of this disgusting habit. Although I feel that I feel comfortable with being, I don't know, in the abuse with social networks. It's destroying my communication skills and my process of thinking. And I think I should stop.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You can say, I think it is high time I stopped. So there's another way of saying this. Now, I didn't know that they would destroy my life, because you didn't know in the past that this future is future for that past. So it's not just will, it's would. Now, if I didn't spend time, it's not really accurate, because if I hadn't spent time in the past, that now I could be a millionaire, or I could have already become a millionaire. Right. Okay. So for this topic, there are no part 3 questions yet. They are not they haven't been reported yet. But I will ask you another some questions from another topic. It's money and consumerism. And for this topic, I still don't have part 2. So we expect some more part 2 speaking topic connected with money and consumerism. So maybe it's like describe a thing you bought recently, something like this. So what kinds of things do people like to buy in your country?
Russia is not so wealthy country as some Western countries. That's the core reason why Russian citizens are usually spend their money on the first need group of commodities such as food, maybe clothes, and other and medicaments. So I don't think that Russia is really suffering from consumerism. It's better used to Buddhism.
Okay. Right. So instead of wealthy, you can also say opulent or affluent. These words are more advanced. What kinds of expensive things do people like to buy?
Oh, the first thing which I had thought about is cars, and cars is also like a way of display and demonstrate your social status. Like good cars such as Mercedes or BMW serve as a
status symbol.
Yes, as a jewelry.
Okay, or you can just call it a status symbol. BMW and Mercedes, not BMW. BMW.
BMW and Mercedes. Можно продолжу? Или...
Okay, please do.
Идея была хорошая. And ну ладно, все.
Okay, sorry to interrupt you.
I have lost my train of thoughts. It seems
yes,
I have lost my train of thoughts.
Okay, so cars are, not is. So this coordination between singular and plural, it's a really serious mistake that students at advanced level, Band 7, this is advanced, do not make. So even at upper intermediate level, normally students don't make this mistake. If an examiner hears this all the time, then you're not likely to get a high score in grammar. So do you think that people buy a lot of things that they don't need?
It's hardly to divide the thing which you really need and which will just increase your wealth. Utterly convinced that only opulent people should buy cars or even the second flat for the family, because it will cost an exorbitant. It will cost a pretty penny for them, and the prices on fuel in Russia in petroleum in Russia are really exorbitant. So that's all.
Okay, only affluent people are ready to shell out. For the vast majority of others, it's daylight robbery. So you can also continue talking about this. Okay, right. Now, why do so many young people buy expensive things?
And here I should suggest the idea that consumerism is spreading around the globe, and nowadays it's really easy to see a young person who wears a really expensive clothes with well-known brands, while he can only use a train or a bus as a main vehicle.
Okay, right. So these clothes of famous brands can be called designer goods or designer clothes. There's a special expression, so you can be more precise when you name this. Okay, now and the last question: what is the best way of saving money? So me and Victoria, we will write down your ideas. What is the best way of saving money?
I will repeat the words of my cousin, who said that the best way of saving money is to earn money. It's a really ancient thought that to have more wealth, you should really shell out and work 12 hours per day to have an opportunity to not only to spend a lot, but also to do some, I don't know how to call it, resources for future.
Okay, right. So yeah, you can also mention here a proverb into Russian. It's usually translated "копейка рубль бережет," but in English it's "a penny saved is a penny earned." So maybe it could be applicable. You can say something. I can venture a guess that the age-old saying "a penny saved is a penny earned" is still true in this day and age. And then when you need to work hard, there is a phrasal verb to toil away. So this is what many IELTS candidates need to do. They need to toil away to get their IELTS qualifications.
And
So
to shell out is the same? No?
No. To shell out means to spend a lot of money. Раскошеливаться. Yes, and to toil away means to work hard.
Okay.
All right, so I will also copy this into the chat box. Please let me know if you have any questions. And Victoria, maybe you also have some questions now. All right, so if there are no more questions, then thank you all for participation. And we'll see you in the next class.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.